Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another show. Dropping the gloves. We got a good one today. Tim, it's not often I get nervous during an interview, and this is one of them. I'm a little nervous. This guy's, he's putting his stamp on the league. Zack MacEwen of the Ottawa Senators is joining us. Zack, you're in New York City. Thanks for joining us, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So before we came on, Halloween party last night in Ottawa.
Yeah.
What were you dressed up as? Let's hear it.
I was Batman. My wife was Poison Ivy. So
Ooh.
we did the whole couple's costume. But yeah, no, it was a good little Halloween party last night.
Was so that Batman Poison Ivy? That's circa. Is that the '90s with Michael Keaton
I
or
think
who's
so.
that?
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a deep cut, I think, but my wife has red hair, so she wanted to try to incorporate that. So yeah,
Ah,
she's just trying to play around with that a little bit.
any good ones you want to drop on the show here?
What's that?
Any? What were the best costumes?
Chucky's always got the Will Ferrell costumes going, so he recruited a few more people this year. Did the whole Channel 5 news team from Anchorman, so they were pretty
Nice.
good. Yeah, no, there were some pretty good costumes for sure.
That's funny. All right, well, let's get into it. I know you're busy. You want to get out to dinner with the boys and stuff. Coming off an 8-1 win versus the
Yeah.
St. Louis Blues. You have a winning record after 9 games. You've beaten some good teams this year, Zach. How's it feeling? Usually this time of year, the Ottawa Senators are kind of faltering a little bit, questioning the start. Now you guys have a pretty good start to build on.
Yeah, no, I think coming into training camp this year, right from the very get go, everybody kind of had a little bit of a different buzz around them, kind of going into this year. There's a lot of changes made. Some new additions to the team. Travis Green coming in, obviously with the new coaching staff and everything. Kind of set the tone really early, right from training camp. I think all the guys were there, early September to kind of do a little mini camp before camp started too. I think everybody's really dialed in this summer on getting that salty taste out of your mouth after last year not making the playoffs. So I think that combined with just the systems and the buy-in that we got going on right now with everybody all through the lineup. I think we can play with anybody in the league right now, and I think the guys are kind of feeling that too.
No, you've beaten good teams. First game, Florida Panthers. You've beaten Tampa. Like you guys are competing with everybody. You mentioned new guys. The offseason, the big one between the pipes, Linus Allmark, and nothing against Corpusalo and the other goaltenders you've played in front of in Ottawa, but a huge upgrade. This guy is a Vezina Trophy winning goaltender. What was it like in the offseason seeing that trade come across? That's got to give you a little boost, right?
Yeah, no, obviously, like he's a real pro. He's very calm back there, and I think it kind of radiates out through the lineup too.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of the way he handles himself, the how well prepared he is, and obviously Forsberg's been playing really well too. Whenever he was out there for a little bit, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, obviously that's it's a big boost for the guys, and I think he's a great fit.
How's that with Steve Staios, the GM, knowing that like you weren't around during the lean years when they're like, Dad, this team's got to compete now. It's time to take that next step. Does it give? You mentioned that giving the guys a little boost. It's almost like okay, we addressed the weakness.
Yeah.
We got the goalie now. Is it
Yeah,
nice to know that GM's like okay, now go and win?
yeah, 100%. He kind of instilled that in us at the end of last year. Like this isn't happening again. You're when you're done playing at the end of the year and you're not going into playoffs. It's a bad feeling, and nobody wants to be there again. I think he's done a hell of a job. Doing what he did this summer, and obviously now it's on us to kind of move the pieces that he put together. So. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like I said, everybody's got a new buzz around them this year, and we're still rolling with
You guys scoreboard watching already? 10 games in. If you win tomorrow night, you're in second place, Zach. Is that
it.
what's
Yeah.
happening?
No, I know. I don't think we're getting too far ahead of ourselves yet, but I think it's just you want to keep the winning feeling around the room. You want to keep that going. You keep that positive attitude going, and getting better every game too.
Yeah, I like that. So let's back it up just a little bit here to the kind of early parts of your career, and walk us through your journey to the NHL a little bit. So we'll start with the Q. You played a few years there, obviously not drafted. Was that a surprise? I mean, you had some great years. Was there one year in particular where you thought, okay, this is the year and it didn't happen, or what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, I started playing junior A even before the Q. Randomly, I got drafted in the fifth round, first pick of the fifth round of this Maritime Junior A League. And I was going into my third year midget, and I kind of just said, why not? I'll go over and try out for the team. It was in Amherst. It was only an hour and a half away from PEI where I grew up. So, I went over there. I made the team at a camp, and I ended up moving away from home for the first time, just staying there. And it was a bit of a learning experience. I wasn't really expecting to kind of do that year. I didn't really have a plan, but I started playing there, and I started playing well, and then the next year, we lost a lot of older guys, and I was named captain of the team my second year. So,
Wow.
I was given a pretty big role then too, in that junior A league where I was playing a lot of minutes. I was getting a lot of ice time. I put up a lot of points. And then I got called from Moncton around Christmas time, my 18-year-old year. They had some guys away for World Juniors, and they just asked me if I was saving my NCAA eligibility, and I was like, no, I'm just out here playing hockey as much as I can. So
I was thinking I was gonna save it. Yeah, no, that's why. That's funny.
Yeah, no. So, I got called up around Christmas time. I played 3 games. I think I scored my second shift in Moncton. And they asked me to stick around for the rest of the year that year. And I was going to be a 15th forward. So I ended up just saying that, my team kind of needed me back in the league I was in. And if they would have me back for playoffs, if that could work, something like that. So they ended up making the playoffs then. And, I think that was really the first taste I got coming back up for that playoff run. I got in the lineup by the captain of the team hitting Nick Ehlers from behind, actually. Steven Johnson hitting Nick Ehlers from behind, got like a 4-game suspension, so that took me into the lineup. And, I played with some pretty good players, had a good showing there. And, that's kind of how it all kind of worked out for me starting off. And then, Moncton had I think 9 19-year-olds that year. So obviously you're only allowed 3 in the queue for 20-year-olds. So they traded me to Gatineau my 20-year-old year. And this is kind of where I was getting to, this is the first year, I had a good showing. I got invited to Anaheim's camp early in that year. And then I had a really good year as a 20-year-old. I think, I was getting a lot of ice time, power play, putting up points, and that's when I had some offers on the table from a few different teams. And I've always kind of said that being drafted is great, but it was kind of nice as a 20-year-old. I had 6 or 7 teams that I could kind of pick from and kind of look through their development programs and see what was going to be the best option for me. And ultimately Vancouver ended up being that best option. Yeah.
Well, it's a great mindset, because I feel like the disappointment of not being drafted must have been tough. But then you look at it as you're 20 years old, you have the choice that not a lot of guys do. That's pretty rare.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like when I was my draft year, like I was playing, I was going over and trying out for a junior A team, and I didn't really have much, hype around me. So, that's something I always say to young players and kids kind of coming up through that are all bummed out that they don't get drafted. Like, you do have time in hockey to develop, and if you're good and you work, people will notice you.
So you put up a lot of points that year, as you mentioned, 76, but a big part of that stat line is the 90 penalty minutes. How much of that was fighting? Was fighting always a part of your game, or is that something that kind of came as a necessity?
No, it's definitely something that came as a necessity, I think. I always kind of had I think being where I'm from, like PEI, it's a pretty tough, people grow up pretty tough there. My father, would always just tell me stories of going out on the weekends and people getting in fights. Like, that's kind of what, he always just told me the best rule I ever heard from a fight was from him, and it was just, if you're going to get in a fight, just hit first and hit as hard as you can. So that's still kind of how I go into fights and thinking about it. But, I think I just realized that, it was something that I didn't mind doing at all. Like, I kind of enjoyed, and it's not a thing that a lot of people want to do, but it is what it is, and I know it could help me move along and kind of stay in the league and stay around and stay relevant. And obviously it's a rush too. You get that rush. You're sticking up for your teammates. You're getting respect from your teammates. I think after realizing that in the first few fights of my junior career, and it's a good feeling, and it's something that you always have in the bag.
Did you go to Utica your first 2 years? And I did the same thing as you. I wasn't a fighter. I came out of college. I didn't fight at all in college, 4 years. And then I stepped into Houston. And it's like, okay, well, you better sink or swim quick. What was the moment in Utica where it was like, okay, because you're not small. That's the thing. So you're fighting the heavies right away.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think my first couple of pro fights were, yeah, like my first year. I think the kind of the moment where I realized that I could kind of hang was I fought Tom Sestito in Utica, and
oh my gosh, Zack.
This guy, like, he came off the couch from, I think he was retired, but he's from Utica. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he was like selling cars in Utica, like at the start of that year, and then Toronto offered him a contract because they didn't really have much toughness. So then he came in and it was like his third game playing or something, and we were up 2 goals, and he's just asking me all game, asking me because there's nobody else on my team that would, and I was like, all right, man, like whatever, like let's go. And the fight went well for me. Like I didn't get hit at all. Like I landed a couple. Well, obviously he's a big boy. I wasn't quite as big as I am now back then either. But he gets up and he shows the belt, and he's skating around, and we got kicked out because it was a staged fight. Like I didn't know you couldn't do that in the American League, so we got kicked out right off the draw. And I was skating down, just towards the end corner there in Utica, where all the fans are just staring at me. They're fired up because they loved it, and you just get a little hands up motion, and you get that reaction from the crowd, and everybody's on their feet. It's a good feeling to get that energy back from doing something crazy like that. And then I think another reason too that kind of stuck with me was the captain came off, and he's like, he looks at me in between periods, he's like, you're an effing psycho, man. I was like, yeah, I don't know what I just did, but all my teeth are still there, and I'm good to go. So.
But what that does, Zach, is it puts you on the radar of every guy in the league. So
100%.
How was that? Like, how was that going from team to team? Because I struggled with that big time.
No, that's definitely I think when I got to Philly and kind of. They didn't really have anybody at the time. Like this was before Delorier was there, and they were kind of longing for a guy like that. And when I got picked up by Philly, I was pretty pumped to go be a Broad Street Bully. So I kind of wanted to try to do what I can in that city. Like they love it there too. So I got such a good reaction there. But yeah, like you're right. Like whenever you do that, you do get on the radar of everybody, and obviously it is what it is, and it's part of the game and part of the job. But I think I want to be able to play and not just have that as the only thing that I'm there for. And I think over the last year or two, that's kind of what's been going on a little bit. Obviously, it's still going to be there, and I'm always going to be the guy that people are looking at on the team. So that is what it is, and I'm always there for that. So.
Well, I think it's a great thing what you're doing. And I played with a lot of guys, not as big as you, a lot of guys on the fourth line who were just the best player on their team in the junior ranks. Like they were putting up 100-some points, and that's what you are. Now, I feel like you can see the evolution of the fighter because I was one-dimensional. I would just go and fight and play 4 minutes a game. Like, you're a good player. Do you ever get the reaction from people where it's like, holy, like, Zach, you can actually hold your hockey stick and make a pass and these sorts of things because, like, buddy, you put up 74 points in the queue, which is incredible.
Yeah, man. I think, I definitely get that reaction. I never wavered on my ability. Like I always, had belief in my ability and my skill. Obviously whenever you get into that role and you get kind of going down that path, you're a little bit more limited in your your availability to do that, playing less minutes and not getting as many touches, and then but yeah, obviously it's I think it's I pride myself more on my hockey skill than my fighting skill. So I think I think that's always going to be like that. But yeah, I mean it is good. You need to be able to play. You need to be able to skate. You need to be able and to be able to do that and show confidence and give your coach confidence to put you out there is a bigger
Oh,
part
hell
too.
yeah. Well, you got to know what butters your bread. It's a physical
Yeah,
game. But then if you
yeah,
can bring
yeah,
that keeps you in the lineup. So
yeah,
just stick with fighting because it's kind of what I like to do. You fought
yeah,
Jack Guy this year. You got
yeah,
into it with Tanner Janot. Like you're fighting the heavies in the league. In your Eastern Conference, there's no shortage of combatants.
yeah,
How's that going? When you look at the calendar and you go, okay, there's Olivier, McDermott, Janot, Jack
yeah.
Guy, Reeves. You got Rempy tomorrow night. Like what? How do you prepare? It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you can beat yourself up about it, think about it too much. I like to try to just go into every game with the same mindset where, whatever happens is going to happen. And,
Punch
I'm
first, like your
not,
dad said.
yeah. I don't, I try not to think about it too much. I
Yeah,
look, it's one game at a time. I'm not, and obviously, like, I think the way it's going this year too is like, they're trying to get rid of that like stupid stage fighting
yeah,
stuff where it's like they just want it to be over something, like make it a
hmm
hard battle coming out of a
yeah,
scrum. The one with like he absolutely he buried Zub, and
yeah.
it's a good hit. It's the type of player he is. He's going to make that hit 10 times out of 10. And I have a lot of respect for him for going with me at the end of his shift, and I'm just coming on too. So I think there's a lot of respect through those guys too, where it's like, obviously if your team needs a jolt, you're going to want to do something, but, I don't think you're expecting to fight every single night. You know what I mean?
So it's start of the second period tomorrow. You guys are up by 3, and Rempy's like gives you a tap. No reason whatsoever. What do you say? You say no. Kick rocks, man. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah,
that's it's the game within the game kind of thing that you got to read, and I don't think that my coach is going to be happy if I'm going out and doing that, giving life to their
I
bench, and
agree.
that's gonna affect me for the rest of the night. You know what I
No,
mean?
I agree. I think you say no 100%.
Yeah.
That guy's a
Yeah, I
piece
mean,
of shit.
obviously, if there's something going on, like if there's a bad hit, I asked him last year too, and I think he was like playing a lot of minutes or something. He said no, so I was trying to do the same thing though. Like we were down, I think 2, and it was like the last, but it was like I think it was like the last game of the year too, and
Mm.
they were going into playoffs. So like, obviously, there's a bunch of stuff that there's a bunch of stuff that goes into it. You're not just going out there looking to fight every night.
No, are you
Well, what?
watching hockeyfights.com?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Tendencies?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, obviously, you watch guys, you see what guys, kind of, you got to know who's a lefty and, who's going to try to hold you out, who's trying to get inside. Little things like that. But, like, that's the thing. I'm not the most technical fighter out there. Like,
You're not. You
I
swing
should be.
away.
I should be, but I'm really not. And I think it's the same thing where, like, you can kind of beat yourself up thinking about what guys you're going to do, and you're going to go in thinking that they're going to do these things. And I think you can get yourself in trouble doing that as well. But obviously, it helps to be prepared and know what some guys' tendencies are for sure.
Yeah, I was watching your fights versus Chara. Fight
Yeah,
versus Chara. What?
that was dumb.
How did that go for you, Zach? What was that like fighting the big guy?
Oh man, I don't know why I did that. Honestly,
Because you hit
I
Mayfield.
well, yeah, I hit him, and I remember turning around and looking. I see Chara coming at me. I'm like, does this guy want to fight me right now? And I think I just made a split-second decision, and I just looked, and he gave me a nod. I just dropped the gloves. I grabbed onto his jersey, and I threw 3 punches, and they all landed about a foot short. And I said, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble here." And then, he got me with an uppercut, and then my jersey over, an uppercut again. The best thing about that fight was I'm in the box with him after it's all said and done. He's like, "Hey, I stopped. Like, I could have just murdered you." I'm like, "Yeah, I know you could have, man. Thank you. I appreciate that."
Is there
Yeah.
what like?
So
Is there a guy who you're? Because when I played, I was afraid of one guy. Was Steve McIntyre. I don't know if you know the old fighters. That guy was like a
yeah,
murderer. Is
yeah,
there
yeah.
one guy AHL East Coast where you're like, I'm just gonna stay away because it's just like, no thanks.
Man, yeah, there's some tough guys out there. Like, Ross Johnson, he's a
Mm-hmm.
tough tough guy too. You know, I grew up with him. We're both from PEI. Like, I see what he's doing in the gym. I see what he's training. Like, you know, I always said he's one guy I'd never want to mess with.
No kidding.
You know, obviously there's a few obviously guys in the league that are tough, but I think when it's all like comes down to it, you know, obviously there's going to be a time and place, but I think most times my stupidity kind of takes over, and I don't think there's anybody that I wouldn't wouldn't go with. But you know, obviously there's people you want to try to avoid if you can.
You're a married man now, Zach. You got a future to think of, a family.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'd rather play minutes than and sit in the box for 5.
Start scoring some goals.
But, yeah, that's what I got to do. Yeah, I just gotta keep doing my job, play physical, and put the puck in the net whenever I can.
We've had a lot of players on the show, but one of the guys that's been on multiple times is your teammate and captain, Brady Tkachuk. And I feel like he's probably got the reputation as one of the better captains in the league, despite being one of the youngest ones. Now, you played for a bunch of different captains, both in the NHL and other places. Like, what's his style, and what works for him so well that he's such a great leader?
Yeah, he comes to the rink ready to work every day. You know, you can tell by his play on the ice, like the way he plays physical, the way he leads. That's what gets the guys going. You know, he's getting in on battles. He's friggin' digging for pucks. You know, he goes to the hard areas. You know, he's one of the best power forwards in the league. But no, he really tries to rally the guys together always, any chance he gets. You know. He was definitely leading the charge last night at the Halloween party as well. So he's good off the ice that way. So yeah, no, he's a great captain. You know, he loves the game, and you know, he wants to do whatever it takes to win. So I think that's kind of the main thing.
What's the dynamic like between him and Giroux? Because Giroux's like the old vet captain for years in Philly. He was your captain in Philly, right? So you know Claude. What's that like?
Yeah. No, it's great. You know, G's the man. You know, Claude Giroux is one of the best guys out there. When you get to know him, he's the same way where he leads with his play. He's very smart, very wise in kind of what he says when he chimes in. You know, I don't think it's an issue with him at all. Like he knows Brady's a big part of the organization. Where they built the team around him. And, that he's a captain for a long time for the organization. I think he's mostly just into, like, kind of, helping him and leading him in the right ways.
The next question is submitted by Riley, who's a big fan of the show and a big Sens fan. His question, he said, you've been through 3 coaching changes in addition to playing under another coach in Belleville in just over a year. What kind of challenges does that create for you as a player, especially one fighting for a roster spot?
Well, I think it was a little easier this year because I had Travis Green in Vancouver. I think that kind of helped me out from the get-go in the conversations I had with him over the summer. But, obviously it's, definitely a lot of coaching changes over the last little bit. But, I think you just have to be adaptable. You gotta realize what guys expect from you. And, I know exactly what Greener expects from me. And, I know what my job is to do. And I'm just here to do my job as well.
What's it like? So you've been in Vancouver, Philly, LA, Ottawa, 4 teams.
Yeah.
What's the best city so far? You mentioned Philly's blue collar.
Yeah,
Ottawa's a Canadian team.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think I've been lucky to play in the places that I've played. Started my career in Vancouver. That city's incredible. Obviously, I loved it there. I still have some of my best friends on that team. Thatcher Demko was one of the best men at my wedding this summer. So,
no kidding.
Obviously that place is a special place in my heart. And, Philly is, like I said, Philly is just incredible. The way they love their sports teams there. The way they love they loved the way I played. And, I got a lot of people who still kind of follow me from Philly and are always, wishing me the best and stuff too. So that place, the food in Philly is incredible. I loved where I lived. So that was great. It was cool to get a taste of LA as well. I wasn't there very long, but, Just to see what it's like to play there was pretty incredible as well. So, and now Ottawa, yeah, like you said, closer to home. So I'm not answering your question at all.
No,
'Cause I love
every
everywhere
city's
I've
great.
played. Yeah, but no, yeah, being closer to home is great for my family
Oh
and
yeah.
friends that they want to come up to Ottawa. Driving home after the year, load the car up. You got the dog in the car. It's nice and close. So, yeah, no, great Canadian
What's the
market too.
deal with new rink downtown Ottawa? Get out of Canada?
Yeah. I don't know how long that's going to be taken. I don't know if I'll be around for that or what,
You're a
but
young
I,
cat. When's the extension?
yeah,
What are you? You're
you know what?
28. You got another
Yeah,
year on your contract. Have you started negotiating already with
what?
Steve
No,
Stales?
no,
After that
no,
two
not
goal game, did you walk in there and say,
I.
Steve,
You know what? That would have been nice. It would have been a great time. My yeah, my price would have gone up there, I guess, eh?
imagine that? Well, look at McDermott makes 1.5 a year. You should make more than that. That's incredible. If you're okay, well, what's a realistic goal for you? Because you're used to scoring goals, but now you get what 8 to 10 minutes a game on an
Yeah.
average night. What do you think is a realistic Zack MacEwen season look like?
With those minutes, like with that
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, obviously I set goals at the start of the year. I want to get over 10 point or over 10 goals, over 25 points. But it's a tough league, and you
Yeah.
set these goals, and you might get one look in 3 games, and if you're not scoring that, you're beating yourself up. But I think this year, I got the way our line's been going too. I think some of those goals are a little bit more attainable now. You want to set goals, not limits, right? So, I'll take what I can
Wow.
get, I think anything's possible. I scored 2 the other night. I should have had a couple the other night. If you the way you look at it, like it's just it's all about capitalizing on your chances. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I can to do
He's just
that.
making T-shirts right now, Tim, with all these
Yeah,
little catchphrases. I feel
yeah,
like Kevin Garnett's anything's possible.
yeah,
Being with Travis Green, that must help a lot because I have a very similar trajectory as you, where I bounced around a lot of teams, 2 years, new coach, team sucks, new coach. They tend to lean on the top guys, so it must
yeah,
be nice to have that familiarity.
yeah, for sure. I think like I said, I had a couple good conversations with him over the summer. I knew
Yeah,
exactly what he was expecting from me coming into camp, and I knew what I needed to do. Um, I think too, being a little bit older and having a little bit more experience, I get a little bit more respect coming from him from back in the days when I was in Vancouver and just a young kid, kind of just getting into the league too. So, I think, and the guys, he's done such a great job here, getting knowing what this team needs and getting these guys going. So, yeah, like I think it's definitely I had a bit of an advantage coming into this year with him.
yeah. All right, Tim. Time for quick hits. I think.
Yeah, we'll do some rapid fire questions to wrap it up. Who's the
Sounds good.
toughest guy in the league right now?
Oh my.
Whew. Jeez. I mean, McDermott's pretty friggin' tough, man.
Now here's my
Ross,
follow-up question,
I think Ross is up there too. Ross Johnson.
Zach. I'm 42.
Yep.
I'm just a hair under 6'9", 280. Do you think if I had laced him up, I would still be top three?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just can't. I think you probably got that old man strength in you
I
now
do.
too, which is
Oh
even
man,
more-
just chasing
you're
my
just
kids
you're
around.
just gonna just ragdoll guys out there. I think. I
You
don't
do
think
you
nobody's moving you.
do you mean that honestly? You're just blowing smoke.
No, I think you could. I
Oh,
think you could hang. I think you could
I
hang. I
need I
wouldn't
need I
fuck with you.
really
Oh,
needed
sorry.
that.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't mess with you.
I really needed that because I
Yeah.
text back and forth with George Larac and these older guys, and we're always just like, we could still hang for sure. And then we
Yeah.
go out there and just get our asses handed to us, probably. But it's just fun to think about. I'm
Yeah. I
so
mean.
happy you fought Sestito, by the way, because and I've said it millions of times. I hate him. I've asked him to go many, many times to the point where he told me his hand was broken the game, and then
Yeah.
later on in that game, he's fighting somebody else on my team. I'm like, you
Yeah.
son of a gun. And yeah, he's
Well, yeah, I'm
jumped me a
sure you.
couple
I'm sure
times.
you got a lot of no's. I'm sure you got a lot of no's too.
Plenty of no's, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm like you where I hated the stage fighting. I would never
Yeah.
I said no
Yeah.
plenty of times myself because guys are
Yeah.
like, let's go. I'm like, buddy, it's first period.
Yeah.
Nothing's
Like
going
let's
on.
let's play the game here and see what happens. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, like just make it worthwhile. What do you think of the state of fighting? Because I just listened to this guy from Hockey News rip apart Matt Rempe today. I'm like, you twerp, like What do you think?
No,
Is it in a good spot?
I think it is in a good spot. I think it's like because I think they're just trying to get rid of that stage
Yeah.
fighting that like they're trying not. I know they don't want fights after clean hits, like,
Yeah.
but that's never gonna. If you get blown up, or if somebody on my team gets blown up and they're hurt, you're gonna
Yeah.
do something about that. Like it's still, it might have been a clean hit, but you can't, like, that's part of your
You got to
family.
step up.
You
Yep.
gotta step up and do something about that. So I think it's in a good spot. I think, obviously they're definitely they're just like honing in on some of the little things about it, like that stage stuff and the clean hit stuff.
You see yourself like a Tom Wilson, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see myself as that. I think
Making
he's got a little.
$7 million.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's see if we can get there. That's the
Tim, that
goal.
goes a long way in PEI. $7 million.
Yeah,
Let me tell you,
yeah,
you could buy
does
half
it
the
ever.
island.
1 million does, yeah. That's I'll take one. Yeah.
Who's your favorite fighter of all time?
Favorite fighter of all time? Probably Twist.
Tony Twist. That's
This
a
guy
good one. You
was
don't
an
hear that answer.
animal.
Why the twist?
I just thought he was nuts.
He
Like the
was.
way, yeah, like just stood in there. He wasn't the biggest of guys, but he could just hammer away.
Him and Kelly
Or
Chase were arguably the most feared duo ever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Who
like
were you
that
gonna
guy.
say?
I was gonna say Nyland too. I like Chris
Nux.
Nyland. Yeah, yeah. I was a big Habs fan growing up too.
Have you ever
So
talked to Nux?
no, I never met him.
Oh my gosh, he's one of the greatest guys ever.
Yeah,
Absolutely beautiful guy. He's
yeah.
just
I bet.
top notch. All right,
Yeah.
sorry, Tim. I'm hijacking your stuff again.
Yeah, a few more questions. Who's the
Yeah.
hardest defenseman to play against in the NHL right now?
Oh,
Ooh, that is a good question. Hardest. I mean, like that plays is hard. The plays the hardest. I don't know. That's a tough one. I think that Romanov he's tough to play against. You're always feeling him when you're in front of the net against him.
yeah.
He hits hard too, and he looks for the big hits too. So I don't know. I'll give him that one. I haven't
Would
even
you
played
rather?
him yet, but
Would you rather play against like a puck mover, like a forecheck?
oh
Who's
yeah,
rather forecheck, like a McCarr and go
oh
after him?
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. I'd rather. Well, yeah. I mean, I'd rather do that, but I'd have to watch it. I didn't get my ankles broken by those small, skinny, or speedy guys. So,
Rather than like
but
a
yeah,
Headit
no.
or somebody, or
No, I think a nice big moving target is the best thing to forecheck too. Like I'd rather get in on Hedman or like Pareko or something, just someone that's
like a
you know,
Keandre Miller or a Jacob Trouba.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
for sure,
look
yeah,
at those
yeah,
shots. Oh, baby.
yeah. We'll be getting in there tomorrow for sure.
A couple more. What's your favorite line you've ever played on?
Favorite line I ever played on. I played with Bo Horvat and JT Miller when I first got into the NHL. It was pretty good. I had
Wow.
like 5 goals in 7 games. Got me a 2-year deal out of it right before COVID. So maybe we'll say that one.
What,
Actually-
what
the
happened?
second line at the time, or what?
What's
Third line?
that?
What line was that for them at the time?
It was like 2.
Okay.
Like it was, yeah. He kind of moved me around in and out of it though. That was greener. It was right before COVID. There was a bunch of guys that were hurt. I went on a bit of a heater with that line.
The trajectory for the line, 2 guys, and then Zack. What happened, man?
I don't know. I thought I was going to be top 6 forward in the NHL at that point.
That's got to be
No.
crazy. What was it like walking into the room and you're like, holy, like I'm with Millsy.
Yeah,
and
no, it was pretty crazy. Like being up there, I had like maybe 20 games, and that little 7-game stretch right before COVID, it was just things were going in for me. It was kind of getting some good bounces, getting some good looks. Playing a lot of
5
minutes.
goals in 7 games.
Yeah.
Do you know that I scored 5 goals in 300 games?
Yeah, well, I got 4 in the last like 80. So yeah, they don't always go in for you, but it's all
They
about
don't.
getting
I
your
never even had
chances.
chances, though. That's the thing. I was just useless. I didn't get any chances. That's funny.
Yeah.
Give me 2 underrated players, one from your team and one from another team.
Underrated from my team, go go my centerman, Adam Gaudette. He's hot right now. He's got 4 in the last three games. We got that Chem from Vancouver too. Back in the day, we were on a line together with Greener
Ah.
5 years ago. So, and then from somewhere else, who's an underrated guy? I don't know. He might be highly rated, but I like Joel Farabee's game from Philly.
Oh yeah, he's a good
It's a
player.
name that we never hear. Yeah.
He's a good dude too. So we'll give him that one.
All right, last question. We have a lot of young kids that listen to the show. What advice do you give to kids that want to grow their skills in the game?
Just always keep working. It's what happens behind the scenes that's going to get you to where you want to be. So, if you have that drive, then you can do whatever you set your mind to. That's kind of what I did. But you got to have fun with it. You got to enjoy it.
When you take your team picture, do you purposely look like a certified insane asylum person?
Yeah, I try to sometimes.
Do you really?
Yeah, it's the one that comes up on the screen all the time in the
it's great.
jumbotron.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's
they're like,
so funny.
smile. I'm like, no.
No way, I'm crazy. You look like Kevin Westgarth a little bit. That's
Yeah.
too funny. Where are you guys going to dinner tonight? Are you like a fancy steak guy? I feel like you are.
I like a nice steak. Yeah, I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy. So we're actually going to Catch. Yeah, we're going to Catch. It's more seafood, but it's a good restaurant in New York. So
That is
I always look forward to it here coming to New York. That's usually the only time I ever go to Catch. So it'll be good.
All right, man. Well, listen, Zach, I appreciate you giving us some time. You're on a nice road trip here. Good luck tomorrow. Take care
Yep.
of business. Keep the winning streak going. And, yeah, we'll be watching, man. Cheers.
Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.